Greetings dear children. In this video, we will be learning Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, Act 3, Scene 2, Part 2. This part of the play takes place right after Caesar's assassination. Brutus, one of the conspirators, had just finished addressing the public, justifying the assassination as a necessary act to prevent Caesar's tyranny, which we have seen in Part 1. The citizens are now eager to hear what Marc Antony, a close ally of Caesar, has to say. First citizen said that, let us stay and hear what Marc Antony has to say. Third citizen said, let him go to the public chair platform and we will hear him. Noble Antony, you go to the platform. Antony goes to the pulpit. While going, he said, for Brutus' sake, I am beholding to you. What does this statement indicate? Antony starts by appearing very humble and respectful and thankful to Brutus, which disarms. This gesture of Antony disarms the crowd and gains the trust of the citizen. Fourth citizen asked, what did he say of Brutus? Because he heard the word only Brutus. He did not hear what did Antony say. Then the third citizen said clearly to the fourth citizen. He says, for Brutus' sake, he finds himself beholding to us all. He says that for Brutus' sake, he finds himself indebted to all of us. Yes, it is very good that he did not speak anything against Brutus because they are not ready to bear now. They now started considering Brutus as their leader. Then the first citizen made a remark on Caesar. The Caesar was a tyrant. Caesar was really a tyrant, a cruel ruler. Yes, that is certain. Third citizen said that. Nay, that is certain. It's very sure, certain. We are really blessed that Rome is rid of him. We are really lucky, we are really blessed that Rome is freed from Caesar. Second citizen, peace. Let us hear what Antony can say. Now let us all hear what Antony wanted to say. Antony begins his speech. You gentle Romans. Here Antony addresses the crowd as you gentle Romans. That was a tactic to align himself with the citizens and present himself as a friend rather than a threat. The citizens said, peace, let us hear him. Now let us listen to Marc Antony. Antony begins his speech. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Antony begins his speech by addressing the crowd in a friendly and inclusive manner, drawing them in and setting a respectful tone. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. Antony presents himself as modest, claiming he is not here to glorify Caesar, which lowers the crowd's defense. And I have come here to bury Caesar, not to praise him. Just to take part in the Caesar's funeral and not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. So that is the case. Let it be with the Caesar. The evil deeds, the wrong deeds that men do are talked about even after their death, while the good deeds that they do are often buried and forgotten when they die. So he says that let it be with the Caesar. Let it be so with the Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. The honorable Brutus, the noble Brutus told you that Caesar was ambitious. If that was so, if it were so, if Caesar was ambitious, it's a grievous fault. It's really a serious fault. And for that, and grievously Caesar hath answered it. The Honorable Brutus told that Caesar longed for political power, ambitious. If he did, it is really a serious fault, and Caesar had paid it with his life, answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus, under the permission of Brutus and the rest of those honorable people, for Brutus is really an honorable man. So are all they all are honorable men. All honorable men, all the conspirators are honorable. By repeatedly referring to Brutus as an honorable man, Antony uses verbal irony to plant doubt in the minds of listeners. The phrase becomes a veiled accusation as he contrasts Brutus' claims with Caesar's action. And they all are honorable. All the conspirators who all were involved in the assassination, they all are honorable. And I come to speak in Caesar's funeral. But I have come here to speak in the Caesar's funeral ceremony. He was my friend. Caesar was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious. Brutus says that he was an ambitious man. And Brutus is really an honorable man. Now, when he says that Caesar was ambitious, I just wanted some clarification. He had brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? He asked Antony very subtly as the motives of the conspirators while appearing to respect them. Caesar has brought many prisoners of war home to Rome, and money paid to have them freed, that money had filled the public treasury. Does this appear to be greed in Caesar? Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? Does it so that Caesar appeared to be ambitious in this? When that poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. This sentence appeals to crowds' emotion and sense of justice. They know it all. When the poor have cried, face the problem, Caesar also hath wept. Poor people have cried, Caesar also hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff, he says. Antony says that. If Caesar was ambitious, he would have not cried. Ambitious or greed for power should be composed of a stronger thing, stronger matter, stuff. But Brutus says he was ambitious. I'm sure Brutus is an honorable man, I agree. Remember, repeatedly referring to Brutus as honorable, Antony uses verbal irony to plant doubt in the minds of the listeners. Antony continued saying that you all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown. Antony uses this statement as an evidence to argue against the claim that Caesar was ambitious. This is the third point he is given. Third point Antony has given to prove that Caesar was not ambitious. The first point was he asked a question. The question is, had he brought the captives home and filled the treasury? That is the first point. Second one, the poor hath wept. Even Caesar also wept. Third one, the third point, he uses this point as an evidence to claim that Caesar, against the claim that Caesar was ambitious. You all did see that on the Lupercal, I thrice presented him a kingly crown. Everyone has a seal that the king's crown was presented to him on the feast of Lupercal, which he refused 3 times. Was this ambition? But Brutus says he was ambitious. And I'm very sure Brutus is an honorable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I'm to speak what I do know. I'm not speaking against in order to disprove what Brutus told you. Though he is doing so, he's saying that he's not speaking to disprove what Brutus told you. But I have come here to speak what I know. And you all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? You all loved him once, and you had reasons to love him. Now, what reasons then prevent you for lamenting for Caesar? What is stopping you? What is preventing you from mourning or lamenting for Caesar? O judgment, you have escaped. O judgment, thou art fled. You have escaped to brutish beast, emphasizing the irrationality of crowds' current sentiments, urging them to reconsider their stance. So he calls judgment, you have fled. You have escaped to wild animals, and men have lost the power of reasoning. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar. Please excuse me. My heart is there in the coffin with Caesar. And I must wait a little until it comes back to me. First plebeian responded to this speech. Methinks there is much reasoning in his saying. The citizens' reactions show that Antony's speech is having the desired effect. The first citizen responded that I think there is much reason in his saying, recognizes the logic in Antony's words, indicating that Antony is successfully sowing doubt about the conspirators' action. Second citizen said that if thou consider rightly of the matter, Caesar has had great wrong. Second citizen agrees that Caesar has been wronged, showing a shift in sympathy towards Caesar. Third citizen, as he masters, I fear there will a worse come in his place. The third citizen expresses his concern that someone worse might take Caesar's place, showing fear of the uncertainty ahead. The fourth citizen's remark is that marked his words. Did you mark his word? He would not take the crown, therefore it is certain that he was not ambitious. And it worked well when Antony used that statement, that is presenting the crown 3 times, as an evidence to argue against the claim that Caesar was ambitious. And it worked well. The fourth citizen said that, points out that Caesar's refusal of the crown proves that he was not ambitious, directly challenging the reasoning behind the assassination. The first citizen remarked, if it be found so, some will dare abide it, indicating that now the citizens are questioning the justifications for Caesar's assassination, and recognizes that Antony's claims are true. There will be, if these claims are proven correct, there will be serious consequences. Second plebeian commented on Antony's eyes. His eyes are red as fire with weeping. Comments on Antony's emotional state, noting his red eyes from weeping. This observation humanizes Antony and strengthens the perception that his grief is genuine, further swaying the crowd, highlighting the fickle-mindedness of the citizens. Third citizen, there is not a nobler man in Rome than Antony. Declares that there is no one nobler than Antony in Rome, signifying a shift in loyalty from Brutus to Antony, as they now see Antony as an embodiment of Roman virtue. Fourth citizen remarked, now mark him. He begins to speak again, urges others to listen to Antony as he begins to speak again, showing that the crowd is fully captivated by his words. Now Antony continues, but yesterday the word of Caesar might have stood against the world. Now he lies here. This highlights the tragic fall from greatness and plays on the crowd's emotions, underscoring the injustice of Caesar's death. Only yesterday, Caesar's words might have overcome the opposition of the whole world. Now he is lying here. And no man is so humble to pay him respect, and none so poor, no one is paying him any respect. O masters, if I were disposed to stir your hearts and minds to mutiny and rage, then I should do Brutus wrong, and I should do Cassius wrong, who, you all know, honorable men. Antony carefully avoids directly inciting the crowd to violence, claiming that he would not want to stir the hearts and minds to mutiny and rage. However, by mentioning this and immediately following it with a statement, he would not do Brutus and Cassius wrong. He cleverly plants the idea of mutiny in the minds of the plebeians, the citizens. I will not do them wrong. I rather choose to wrong the dead. I will find fault in the dead. That is Caesar. To wrong myself, I will find fault in mine. And you, the citizens. Then I will wrong. Then I find some mistake in those honorable men. But here is the parchment with the seal of Caesar. I found it in his closet. It is his will. But let the commons hear this testament, which, pardon me, I do not mean to read, and they would go kiss dead Caesar's wounds. Here Antony cleverly introduces the idea of Caesar's will, but pretends to withhold it. I don't want to read it. See, I don't mean to read. And he withhold it, saying that I don't mean to read, knowing full well that this will only make the crowd more and more curious and desperate to hear it. This is the classic use of a reverse psychology and adds dramatic tension to the speech. He says that here is the will with a seal of Caesar, and I found it in the closet. That is Caesar's will. But the commoners, when they hear what is the content mentioned in the will, then what would they do? They would go and kiss dead Caesar's wounds. Go and kiss Caesar's wound, first point. Dip their napkins in his sacred blood, second point. And beg a hair of him for a memory, that is a third point. Mention it within their wills, bequeathing it, and will request it as a rich legacy unto their issue. Antony evokes powerful imagery by suggesting that people would want to dip their napkin in Caesar's blood, keep a hair of him as a memento. This hyperbole, exaggeration, serves to dramatize Caesar's martyrdom, making him a figure of reverence whose memory the people would cherish and pass down to the future generation unto their issue. Antony is appealing to the plebeians' emotions, encouraging them to see Caesar not just as a leader, but as a sacred figure worthy of deep veneration, respect. By suggesting that the people would mention Caesar's hair in their wills, and bequeath it as a rich legacy. Antony is reinforcing the idea that Caesar was beloved and honorable, deserving of eternal remembrance. This heightens the sense of loss and injustice felt by the crowd as they start to perceive Caesar as a noble man. Fourth citizen said that we will hear the will. We wanted to hear the will. Read it, Marc Antony, because Marc Antony said that I don't want to read, and that intensified the curiosity of the citizens. Now they are so curious to know what is the content of the will. Read it, Marc Antony. And everybody said together, the will, the will. We hear Caesar's will. The will becomes a symbol of Caesar's generosity and a love for the people, something that the crowd now desperately wants to know about. Their collective chant, the collective chant signifies a turning point. The crowd is no longer just passive listeners, but active participants, eager to be aroused to action. Then Antony said, have patience, gentle friends. Come, I must not read it. It is not meet. You know how Caesar loved you. Pretending that the contents of the will are too powerful and potentially dangerous for the crowd to hear, Antony intensifies their curiosity and desire. You are not wood, you are not stones, you are just men. And by being men, hearing the will of Caesar, what will happen? What will be the consequence when they hear the will? Hear the answer. It will inflame you. First key answer. It will make you mad. The second point, that means intended to ensure the crowd is emotionally primed for outrage and action. When you get to know the content, it will inflame you. It will make you mad. It is good you know not that you are his heirs, indirectly telling that the citizens are the heirs. For if you should, what would come? Indirectly, he has given the clue. You are his heirs. He said the content of the will. Fourth plebeian, read the will. We hear it, Antony. You shall read as the will, Caesar's will. The fourth plebeian's demand reflects the crowd's collective fervor and sets the stage for the transformation from mourners to vengeance, one who wanted to take revenge. Antony, will you be patient? Will you stay a while? I think I have overshot myself to tell you of it. This statement further manipulates the crowd, making them feel that they are being let in on a crucial secret. By implying that he is reluctantly, forcefully sharing something he should not, Antony ensures that the crowd's curiosity and emotional intensity are at their peak. I fear I wronged the honorable man. He said that I have overshot. I have expressed more. I'm not supposed to do that. I think by doing that, I fear I wronged the honorable. Honorable is now hollowed out, transformed from a mark of respect to a term of contempt. His mock fear of a wronging these honorable men who stabbed Caesar further sows doubt in the crowd about the true nature of Brutus and his accomplices. Antony is effectively planting the idea that these men are not honorable at all, despite what they claim, whose daggers have stabbed Caesar. I do fear that I have wronged the honorable men. Fourth plebeian said that honorable, they were traitors. Honorable man. The fourth plebeian's response is significant here again because it marks the moment when the crowd starts to reject the idea that the conspirators were acting honorably. By calling them traitors, the plebeians, the citizens, demonstrate that they have been convinced by Antony's rhetoric and now hostile towards Brutus and other conspirators. Now we see all together they say, the will, the testament we wanted to hear. Second citizen said that were villains, murderers. The will, read the will. This is a critical moment in Antony's manipulation, as the crowd is now not just questioning the honor of the conspirators, but actively condemning them. The demand to read the will becomes a rallying cry altogether, a rallying cry representing their desire to right the wrong they now perceive has been done to Caesar. The last part of the video will be uploaded soon. Thank you, children.